Paranormal Karen, she's so spooky. Paranormal Karen, funny too. Paranormal Karen, she's so spooky. Oh, and did I mention she's funny too? Yeah, cha-cha-cha.
Hey everybody, welcome to Paranormal Karen. I am having the best time in Phoenix with Jessa Reed and a bunch of people. Before we get to it, folks, in May, I will be doing the Comedy Tarot Show in Miami. I got June, I'm coming to Waco, Texas. I think that y'all missed me in, if not, if this is coming out earlier, I'm in Washington, March 6th and 7th. But, and folks, I keep forgetting this. So I was with Mad Mimi, which is where you subscribe for my email list, and up to 500 people, it was free. And then they're hitting me for $40 a month. So anything after 500. So please sign up for my email list so I feel like I'm not wasting my $40. So if you go to my website, karenrontowski.com or paranormalkaren.com, up in the left-hand corner, it says subscribe. So let's get right to it. My friend Lacey Free is here. Now, Lacey, thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thank you, Karen. I'm so excited to be talking with you.
You've only had to talk to me all weekend.
I know, but I'm so happy about it. And I'm freaking happy we're under the sun right now.
I know.
I had all these ideas of what it was going to be like coming to this soberish weekend.
Yeah.
And I didn't quite expect that I'd be just sitting in a circle with like 6 magical women in a living room for 3 days straight talking nonstop.
I know.
But it's been great.
It's been invigorating. Like, I couldn't sleep last night, and sleep is never a problem with me. Like, I was so up, and I went to take a nap, and the same thing. I was like, and it's, I'm not insanely crazy about the energy of the desert. Like we're in Arizona, but do you feel there's something like that is working with, well, first of all, let's get to you, because I feel like something's working with this, and the people have been amazing.
The people are so amazing. And to me, there is magic in this desert. The last time I was in this area, Tempe, Arizona, Mesa, Arizona, I had ran away from home when I was 16.
Oh.
I went to high school and I had called my ex-boyfriend's mom at the time. And when I was 13, I was taken away from my parents from Child Protective Services.
Oh my God.
And I lived with my grandparents who were very emotionally absent and they had really withdrawn. And my mom was a meth addict.
Oh.
And so when I was 13, I was taken away. So I didn't see her for 3 years, and it's like she'd vanished. But when I was 16, she showed up with her little dog and was like, "Hi, I'm back." And we were like, "What?" And she came into my room and was like sleeping in my bed like she was like my twin sister. And I was like, "I'm getting the fuck out of here."
And was she no longer a meth addict?
No, she totally was.
Oh, she just needed a place to stay. And she was like, "It's good to see you."
But no one acknowledged it was almost like we were all in such deep denial about her drug use. It was almost like we created a reality in which she wasn't using drugs. Like we were so deep in denial that we just made excuses for her every action.
Wow.
And blamed ourselves for whatever was happening.
Wow, what an amazingly weird, she really controlled the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, so you ran away to here.
Yeah.
Well, I do think the desert, I feel like it hears you better.
It totally hears me. And I was like 100 pounds at the time. And when my mom moved back in, I was there for like a span of 2 months, and I gained 50 pounds in 2 months. So my skin was like swollen and stretching, and that's when I got polycystic ovaries. So cysts were just building up because I was next to her. I wasn't being truthful about what was happening in the situation, and my body was automatically reacting.
Wow.
And that's when I kind of came into a lot of my powers too, of reading bodies and doing readings with the body, is finding those layers we build up based on trauma or based on trying to conform to others' truths.
Wow. And okay, so mind already blown. We're 2 minutes in? But let me describe to the folks how you have been here. So it's me, you, Lola, that's coming up, Water Baby Tarot. It's Mela, and who blew me away yesterday. And it's Jessa, and her daughter.
Yeah,
and
Nikki.
Yes, and it's just it's so much. So you were doing cupping on everyone yesterday.
Yeah.
But you're really healing. But you also, here's where it's a mix, where it's not just cupping, which I'm going to ask you about cupping and the healing part, which is you energy read someone.
Yeah.
You find out where the problem is, and then you were doing the cups, but I'm sure you do other stuff.
Yeah. Like right now I do a lot of remote readings where I talk to people and then tap into their energetic body, which sounds pretty woo-woo, but I kind of just see it like I talk to my spirit guides, and my spirit guides have a real quick conversation with their guides, and then I start channeling parts of the physical body or the energetic body. So sometimes it might show up like an elbow or the knee.
Like my knee.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which you picked up on right away.
Right. I talked about how your knee usually represents the energetic feeling of grinding, of pressure. You know, all our knees hold our weight. So when I talk about our weight, I don't necessarily mean our physical weight. I'm talking about that energetic weight.
Right.
And we get a lot more weight when we feel pressure with projects. So oftentimes when people start feeling a lot of knee pain, they're feeling a lot of like, I'm running out of time. I'm not being the best person I can be. There's still this project, but I can't fully do this project because I need to do these 4 other projects.
Which is exactly me right now. And it's funny that you say that, because I'm wondering if, and this may be out already, folks, but I'll be announcing when my tarot class is out. The tarot class became a big thing with me. It's going to be a digital upload where people can get it. But it's taken way longer than I thought. And yes, I have about 5 projects. So you just nailed it, but you also were like pounding your fist. Like it's when it's like this, bam.
Yeah.
You can already see that's how I am.
Yeah.
That's how I roll.
Right. It's like
grind.
when the bones are grinding against each other in your knee, and that represents the grind in our life. And even now when you're talking, your like lips are pressing together, you know, because you're feeling that grind still. And in a like smaller way, your lips are grinding together.
Yeah.
So when I'm doing energy readings on the phone, it's often magical people calling me, you know, like you, Karen, are extremely magical. But as we're going through our magic, blocks come up in and out, and people think, oh, I just become magic one day and the blocks are gone. This is great. And it's like, no, we're still, you know, moving into these other dimensions, and the blocks are going to come in and out, because even though you might be 5D, 6D Karen, 8D Karen, you're going to be surrounded in an environment where people are glitching in and out. So, and you're going to be working with people who might be totally awake one day and kind of fall back asleep.
Yeah. And also, like I told you yesterday, I had an event last week, I Never Throw Up, and I had a night of throwing up. And I remember my tarot teacher telling me that once a year, it's everybody's stuff that gets stuck. No matter how much protection you use, it builds up. And I think that, it's that whole thing this year right now, as this switch goes in, I want to do everything. I'm grinding. Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right.
Yeah. And so on the phone, it's like crazy because I'm not a medical intuitive. I'm like similar to medical intuitives, but for me, it's not just like it's not of the physical, it's more of the energetic.
So an emotion or a physical medical intuitive would say, it looked like you got cancer growing here,
right,
or there's something off there, and you see more the block. You would probably see the same area, but you're blocking it because you're thinking this.
Yeah, I'm more like, okay, so your left neck, there's a pinch in it, and it's probably because you're actually an angel on earth, and you're used to having wings, and you're supposed to be expanding your heart heart, but you're rolling your shoulders and you're lowering your head because of shame that you internalized when you're 5. But here's these like physical modalities so we can open up your heart and you can be the angel you're supposed to be.
Which, by the way, you have such beautiful light energy. You're just amazing. So that's what you do for people for readings when they call you.
Yeah.
And how did you realize? Is that when you first with your mom that you realized you realized you were picking up her energy?
Yeah, I realized I was picking up her energy, but if I'm going to be totally honest, my parents were teen parents, and it was physically abusive since I was in the womb space. Oh. And I almost feel like my psychic powers had to activate in the womb space as physical protection. Oh. That's one theory I have. The other theory is that light beings, star seeds, whatever you want to call magical people, choose very traumatic situations to bring in the light. Like they choose this destiny because they're like, yeah, we can handle the dark shit, motherfucker.
Right. And I think that I don't know. I feel definitely like I'm a crystal, which is the crystal people. I read this somewhere, and I was like, the crystal people were the ones that came in and were like, you're doing it wrong. You guys got to I was doing the tarot and the crystal, and even on stage doing tarot in my comedy very early, where people were like, I don't want to, and I'm like, are you kidding? Get it up there. Well, let's get it out. And I feel like you guys are the higher vibration that we like knocked shit over, and now you bring in the better to the people that are broken like that, or the situations that are broken.
I'm like, yeah, but what I really mean is like, it's so tricky with magic because it's so easy for people to feel like this value judgment stuff, and we're so used to the hierarchy language,
right.
And there's no hierarchy in people's magic right now. I think we're all coming as a force together. And I kind of see it as like we're each carrying like a tool belt of magical powers. And you probably have different magical powers than my tool belt, but then we can like join forces and create this huge sort of entity of power,
which is kind of what this weekend is about.
Yes, definitely.
It's so weird, but I said this coming in because I just came from the house. So Jessa, everybody knows Jessa Reed on my podcast because she's been on time. She put together because Soberish is her podcast. Everybody come out to Phoenix. We're going to do a show tonight, and everybody stays at these Airbnbs. And you know what? I can't figure out if we're all the fringe or there's no crazy fringe. Like there was no one in there that I felt like, I don't want to talk to that person. Or, I got to break off this conversation. It was so cohesive as for everybody having that same intention.
Right. And people were so respectful of energy. I sound like a kindergarten teacher and I have this like baby voice, and I do like to work with light a lot, but some people, I identify with being a witch, and some people call me the shadow witch because I'm not afraid to go into the dark. Like I will go into my
people,
I will go into that deep, dark core center and sit with the evilness that I believe, and maybe evil is the wrong word, but the darkness that's in all of us, and that we all have the capacity to be evil, to be dark. And to not be afraid of it, but in a way to step into it. When you step into that darkness, that's when you can integrate with your light. And to me, the integration is the true power. Whether it's your darkness and your light, or your masculine and your feminine, it's how we integrate within self and then with each other. But saying all that, I'm quite insecure sometimes, and I prefer hiding. And so I texted Jessa about 7 times, and I was like, so this meetup in Phoenix sounds amazing. Won't be able to make it. I was just really scared to see people because in the quote unquote real world, when you're magical,
it's like the meme. It says people think spiritual awakening looks like this, and they show you the star card when it looks like this, and it's the tower card.
Like hell. Yeah.
It's a big deal, but it also is, we still live in society. We still live in a society that says, what are you doing? That doesn't make any sense.
Right.
So
I was scared that they were, well, first of all, I was like very superficially scared. I was like, they're all going to see that I'm fat and I'm not a healer.
You're not.
And they're going to talk to me and be like, she's not a cool person.
And it's the opposite.
And that shit is all so stupid anyways.
Right.
But
they were so cool. They're so cool.
They're so cool, and they're so respectful of, like, space. I was like, what am I going to do? They're going to, like, hug me, and I'm awkward with hugs. And then I find myself being like, can I hug you? I'm, like, the one going for the hugs and, like, also, loving them.
You were nonstop, in fact, because I got there, and I was so sort of overwhelmed with the energy that I wasn't doing readings. I've only done one since I've been here. And I feel like every time I turned a corner, you were in a circle. You were helping someone, and at one point, and we won't say who, but some guy yelled out, "I'm powerful." What was going on there?
Yeah, I love how I walked into that party and I was like, I'm not doing readings.
And then you were like, everyone got a reading.
Yeah, I can't help it. The guy who said I'm powerful, I had saw him the night before, and I know since I've been on Jessa's podcast, people have been messaging me, and I'm not like the greatest at I've been getting better at like messaging back and building connections, and these like 5D connections are interesting because you're like telepathically talking to each other. So like you're gaining this friendship, but you can't really place it to faces. So I feel like I've been getting a friendship with this being, but I didn't know what his face was. And so I had saw him the night before at the first soberish party, and I didn't really say hi. And then in my sleep, he probably like came when I was dreaming and was like, bitch, you didn't even tell me hi. And I woke up and I'm like, I didn't tell him hi.
I do that all the time. I feel like, or somebody will walk up and they'll say their name and I'm like, uh-oh, did I give them a reading, or should I know more? Or yes. Or do you just be yourself and say hello?
Yeah.
Jess is great at that, by the way, finding that medium.
Yeah.
But so you walked in and
he walked by, and I was sitting with a circle. I'm a witch, so I'm really big in like getting energy in a circle. So I already had a circle formed, and he walked by and was like, come here, come sit down. And I was like, I'm very sorry I didn't say hi to you. And I was just like, thank you for being here. And he just started crying.
Oh.
And then I just tapped into his body, with his permission. And the right side of his jaw was like swollen and lumpy. And it was like, I feel that pain there. And I feel that repressed anger there and that grinding of teeth.
Oh.
And when we grind our teeth, it's repressed anger, but a lot of times it's like self-punishment in a way. Like either nervousness in our sleep and like very small acts of like thinking I did something bad.
Right.
And I'm like, they're like chewing it over internally. What did I do wrong? I'm not good enough. And they do it in their sleep, and it's like this constant self-message.
Right.
And I was like, I feel that self-message in you. And anything you've done bad, you don't deserve that message. You're good enough. You're good now. And I looked at him and I said, you're powerful. And as soon as I told him he was powerful, he split off. And when I say he split off, he like looked in the corner and wouldn't look at me in my eyes anymore. Because to look at me, you would have to see my power. And if you were to see Lacey's power, that means you have to see your own power. And so he would look away from me. And I was like, no, fucker. Look at me. You are powerful. If you think I'm powerful, that means you're powerful. Like, we are each other.
There's no hierarchy, yeah.
Yeah. And then, I was like, say it. And he was like, I'm powerful. And he got so quiet when he said he's powerful. And I was like, say it again. I'm really annoying at parties. And so he said it again. And then I was like, I kind of think you should scream it. And he screamed it, that he was powerful. And then you just saw his like wall break.
Wow. And what was interesting is I was right in the room next to it, and we all heard it. And there was like a moment of silence. And then everybody started clapping.
Oh,
like, that's how nice the room was.
Yeah.
Like, we were like, hey, that guy's going through something. You know what else is interesting, besides the bee that won't get off your crystals?
I have a weird love for bees.
Do you?
Yeah.
I bet you not saying hi to him was supposed to be so you could have that encounter.
Totally.
So that he could come out and be, oh my God, 20 minutes already. All right, hang on. I want to ask you about cupping when we come back, and more about, we'll be right back. We all live busy lives. In fact, when I'm not podcasting, ghost hunting, performing stand-up comedy, or reading tarot for my clients, I'm trying to catch my breath and de-stress. All that on the go can really play havoc with your sleep and impact your health. That's why I'm so crazy about the relaxing benefits of CBD oil. But I care about what I put into my body, so I only look for the best. And that's how I found Zion Medicinals. The company was founded by Brian Caruso, who sought a natural pharmacy-grade solution for his wife's pain and insomnia. Zion Medicinals sources high-quality, healthcare-grade, premium hemp oil direct from an organic farm in Colorado, so you consistently get the best product every single time. The oils are full spectrum too, not CBD isolate, which means that every bottle contains all of the plant's naturally occurring compounds, including cannabinoids, flavonoids, and oils for a superior product. Every bottle is third-party tested to ensure it's pure and potent too. To get your Zen with Zion, check them out online at zionmedicinals.com. Tell them I sent you and use coupon code Karen20 for 20% off your first order. That's capital K, small AREN 20. Tell them Karen sent you. Okay, we're back. So you know what's funny? I only know one person that grinds their teeth, and she actually was someone that was sold into sexual trafficking in Japan. And yeah, like her story's amazing. She's the most heroic person. It's if anybody wants to buy her book, it's Marty McGibbon. It's called Never Give In to Fear. It's amazing how she got out and how magical she is. But I always feel like that could be that responsibility of where she ended up in that spot that made that happen.
Yeah.
Because she was a drug addict.
Yeah. I mean, with sexual abuse, we all, like, oftentimes we blame ourselves.
It gets twisted, yeah, in the wrong way. So, and then at the end, I want to ask you more tips like that, like how people carry their energy, because that's almost like a Louise Hay thing. I hope you're writing a book.
I need to be.
You know what is funny? And you're like this go with the flow person, and I'm like, Lacey, I got my grind back. You got to get the book. You got to get the podcast.
I know. Everyone's telling me that. I'm trying.
You can have a little of my energy. You can have a little of my go-getter energy.
Well, I feel like I'm a go-getter, but in like a weird way, because I'm like, I'm going to come here and get my website up and fucking write a book, and then I spend 12 hours cupping every single person, right, and doing a deep healing from head to toe. And it's like, that's my work. So it's really hard to be like.
But do you think it was easier for you to give than receive?
Yeah. I'm like, receive what? I'm not going to. Yeah, definitely.
Like that was a good way. Like you were comfortable in that role.
Yeah. That's how calling me out, Karen.
Well, you know what though? This is that weekend. This is the weekend for you to get who you are. Well, you know who you are. Yeah. But I mean, like, you know, it is a weird thing to come out of the metaphysical closet or go, that's what I do. Yeah. And this was a great place.
But there's no freaking way I could have come and not done it. It's like what I love to do.
I know.
And I love to do it with people who are doing readings and healings all the time.
Because it's a different, we need it more.
Yeah. Because cupping specifically is a really big physical release and a really big energetic release. And I'm like, wow. Shadow witches here. Let's poke it out. Let's poke it out.
So now tell me, how did you learn about cupping?
I learned about cupping because I was a trained midwife, or I am a trained midwife and a trained doula. But I don't practice. I work with some underground midwives and doulas, and they, to be an underground midwife and doula is to break the law.
Oh, okay.
Because you're not certified.
We're just joking.
Yeah, but I don't do that. But I know how to do that.
Right.
So I got really into fertility and just learned a lot about Chinese medicine, acupuncture, and cupping. And I'm a certified herbalist. So oftentimes I use herbs as my guides and herbs as my protectors. So when I do readings, I'm like, okay, this is happening in your energetic body. This is happening in your physical body. Yarrow. Yarrow is your guide right now. And that's what just came to me in this moment, is to use yarrow as an example. But yarrow, maybe it's because we're sitting under the sun. Yarrow is very like repellent against the sun. Like really, like the sun, yarrow is so activated as an herb. Like if you put yarrow on your body and you're in the sun, it will burn you.
See, this is funny. You're like the third person that mentioned herbalism to me because, like, I need another thing to do. I would love to know this stuff. This is fascinating.
I love it. And it's accessible. And yarrow is a very good protector. She's a powerhouse. Witches put yarrow over the doorways or walk entries. So, like, it cleanses who walks in your door. Like if they come with negative intentions, they can't go through the yarrow with that.
Is that part of the herbalism school, or is that like you just learn more about it, so sort of /herbalism/ witch stuff?
Yeah, herbalism for the medical nutrition, witch stuff for the energetics, and I integrate both and use them constantly. But you'll see that a lot of the physical is energetic, and it goes hand in hand.
Right. Like my knee is obviously, we know what it is. You figured that out. You figured that out in the first minute.
And your knee, turmeric would be really good for your knee.
Okay.
And because that has to do with inflammation. Like we get inflamed when we grind. Because it's like, why do I have to be doing this?
Why isn't it happening faster?
Yeah.
Okay, so you do the herbalist. So now you bump into cupping. You see it somewhere, which, by the way, folks, cupping is when, and I see this all the time in yoga, and I'm pretty sure people know because I probably Gwyneth Paltrow did a show on it or something, but you have these glass cups and you put them on someone's back and you suck the air out with a pump and it literally pulls the skin up, and it looks a little creepy. Mm-hmm. But then when you do it for a timed amount, then when you let the cups off, what happens?
It's a huge release. And the cups I brought here are plastic cups because that's just easier to travel with. You can do glass cups and put fire on it, and that's a little different.
That's crazy, though. That's wild.
I love it. It's so good. But
what does it? Well, first of all, you tell us what it does, and then we'll ask about the fire.
Yeah, and they do the same thing. The fire just brings more heat to it, and so
it pulls all the blood to the surface, which starts which is like in yoga when you switch a pose where you're compressing or straightening.
Right, has a lot to do with emotionally and energetic. When we have blocks, what are blocks? Blocks is stagnation. And we get stagnation over like certain parts of our body because of energetic reasons. For example, women who've had sexual trauma often hold their emotion in their hips and their pain in their hips. So I'll talk to them, read their body, and then I'll feel around their hip area and push in with my hands. And even just the act of the grapeseed oil before you put the cups on, cupping is very nurturing, and then it sucks it up. It takes it out.
Like a Band-Aid being ripped off.
Yeah. And so we push down on the hips, and then we put the cups on, and then the stagnation is a lack of blood flow, and then it gets blood there so faster. I don't know of anything else that moves, and there needs to be more science around cupping, and I just know a lot of the energetics around it. I just know that it will move your blood so fast and when you get the blood moving, you're pushing toxins out. Right. So you're pushing that old trauma and that pain out. And a lot of people I talked to where they were like, oh, well, I went to counseling and I'm over being raped, that happened and I'm over it. And yes, perhaps you are, but cellular memory and muscle memory, it's still a thing. And
I totally
sometimes when we heal in the mental, we're still holding things in our body we don't realize. And even me, I'm holding a lot in my body right as we speak. So it's like a constant fleshing out.
I think it is a constant fleshing, and I think it is that onion layer thing. And I think if you were to get all your healing done from this life, the onion would have the last life in it or something. I don't think healing's ever done or finished. But I totally agree. In fact, I keep thinking therapy is on the way out unless it's going to start being done with some intuition or something about changing the cells.
Right.
And, that's why I like yoga, too, is because you're using the muscle at its longest, which is about blood flow. It's not that when you're curling weights, you're stopping that blood flow, and then you're asking it to come back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's fascinating, and everybody had great experiences yesterday, and they all had their cup marks.
Yeah, we're all tattooed up from our cupping. And it's not a bruise. It doesn't hurt afterwards. You just have to drink a ton of water. It's like a deep tissue massage. But I think yoga is very similar to cupping. I'm a certified yoga teacher, but I don't practice like vinyasa. Well, I practice vinyasa, but I don't teach vinyasa. But the thing I got certified in that I specifically love for myself is Yin Yoga.
Oh, what is it?
Yin Yoga.
Where you hold for like 5 minutes?
Yeah,
Oh.
but it's also from Chinese medicine, and it has to do with the meridians. So cupping has to do with the meridians, those lines of energy.
Right.
And so does Yin Yoga. So Yin Yoga mixed with acupuncture and cupping, you're like, wow. But I also want to say, like, you can start, I don't want to throw out like mental health and therapy.
Right.
And you can come with the intention of attracting and manifesting mental health caretakers who are going to be on your level.
Yeah.
Once we step into our magic people appear. Like, you could just be afraid to go to Tempe, Arizona, then karenrontowski walks in the door.
That's so fun. Yeah, I agree. And it's interesting how it's really hard for people to find a good therapist. That is a very hard thing. And the wrong therapist can really
fuck people up.
Right.
And it's like a relationship, really. You know, it's like going on dates. And trust it if it doesn't feel right.
Right. And there's a little windy, but I've done this sorry if there's wind, folks, but I've done a lot of interviews with these microphones, and they're really great with the wind. So hopefully people aren't going, what is the whistling? It's the EVP, it's the ghost. So, do you do the, I just think the cupping is fascinating, and it's another one of those things that we all need to pay attention to, because it's such a quick heal.
It's such a quick heal. And if you're doing any sort of magical work, or you're very empathic, I say you can do it as much as feels comfortable to you. Like, I'll try to do it on myself once a week.
Can you do it on yourself? It's hard, right?
Yeah, I can't do it on parts where I can't reach on my back, but I do it on my ovaries and my womb space, and it's so painful.
Is that where you wanted to do me? You were like, you got your stomach?
Here, come on, Karen, let me torture you for a second.
Well, I have that, being an older lady, there's a lot of movement and things going on.
Yeah, and it might not hurt you as bad as it hurts me, but
well, here's an interesting question. I have very high tolerance for pain, and sometimes I think that's just how your body's built, and sometimes I think it's the denial. Like, if you have blocks, sometimes it also blocks pain. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I also think it's just part of my personal opinion is that Karen's superpower.
Oh, it's
you can go into the painful places. You can go into the dark places.
Well, thank you.
People can come to you with their pain in that way. And if you were highly sensitive to pain, you couldn't fucking do that.
Right.
So I think it's good.
Good. Thanks. Thank you.
God, we're so hard on ourselves about everything. You're like, oh, I don't feel pain enough.
Is there something wrong with me?
Why am I not suffering more?
That's kind of funny, because I know I'll figure it out, but I do kind of feel like, and probably a lot of my listeners feel the same way, is I kind of feel like, and you probably do too, it's not that we're not of this world, because we are, but we're a little outside of, like, people just go to work and then go home and have a couple beers and go to bed. Like, I don't understand that world.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Like, that would kill me.
It is killing people.
Yeah.
And people are really hurt by it. And empaths are hurt by it because we're feeling what those other people are going through. When we're healing each other, when we're healing ourselves, we're healing them.
And of course, that's a great life if you're happy with it. Don't listen to me. But I always feel like, we're in this age of what else is there? Yeah. Like, I go to work every day and do my tarot, and then I do my shows, and then I'm like, what else is there,
Yeah.
And people would probably be like, I wouldn't travel over doing comedy. That's stupid. But there's something about wanting to go further and wanting to know more that I'm amazed no one wants to go there.
People do. you just have a special kind of, I just feel like even in this moment, I'm like, is she going to jump out of this chair and go run a few miles? You're ready to go. You're ready to go. I love it.
I shouldn't have said it. Nobody wants to go there. That was the wrong wording. That's like when I talk about people about the paranormal, like I'll be sitting on an airplane and I'll be like, oh yeah, there was a fairy in my house. And I'm always amazed. Some of them will listen, or I would say 80% of them might half believe, but they'll go, when I was a kid, I saw something, blah, blah, blah. Like, people will come along, but I'm always amazed when you get that one person that's like, that's not real.
Yeah.
Like, that makes me...
To me, when you get those people, I'm like, I always see those people like the homophobic frat boy. You know what I mean? The guy who's like, gay people are awful. I'm like, oh, you're gay. Oh, like you just really want a nice lover, don't you? And I see people who are like really against magic. I'm like, you feel your power somewhere. That power is fucking screaming in your ear. And then Karen came up to you on a plane and now it's like screaming in both ears and you're like, no, magic isn't real. Magic isn't real. And so when I'm with those people, I then just start tapping in their body and they can't deny it.
Wow. Yeah. I think that's such a great way to put it. Yeah. Cause I think, it's almost like there's nothing after death. Like I like Ricky Gervais. I'm not anti-Ricky Gervais, but it's amazing that he makes these films that are almost dead on exactly with what we know, and he's an atheist and he fights with people on Twitter that believe in God, and you know what I mean? Like, he's this real strange, like, he would just be harassing us right now if he heard this conversation, or laughing at us, and yet it's almost like his films are channeling the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he is so full of truth, but I think atheism is a huge belief, right?
Right.
And I think that's just his own internal conflict about his beliefs. He's channeling truth, but here's my theory. He thinks he has to say he's an atheist because I'm about to get real woo on you, Karen.
Okay, I'll take it.
He has to say he's an atheist because if he were to just be channeling all these truths and not like hunker down to some sort of belief, then he would have to fully admit he's God and that he is extremely fucking powerful. And to admit you're God, to truly step into the fact that you are God, you have to also then be responsible for the tsunamis that occur and the earthquakes that occur. To be God, to step into your power, because I believe we are gods trapped in human bodies. Mm-hmm. And to me, God, we have this very weird view of what God is in our culture, but God is also wrath. God is the mother nature that destroys. So to step into the fact that you're God, you also have to step into the fact that you are devil. And again, that's the integrating of the light and dark and feeling the both. And almost in a way, it's easier to just be like, none of it's real. Here's all these truths, but guess what? Nothing's real.
Yes, and and that's exact. And he also, I feel like sometimes atheist comes up when someone is, and not all atheists, because actually there's a lot of ghost hunters that are atheists that separate the two, which I totally think you can do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can be woo and not believe in God. But atheism seems to run when there's a problem with religion or there's a problem with God. Why would God do that?
Yeah, it's like trauma.
Right.
I feel like there's something trauma. And I'm fine with people. I just use the word God and devil, but
right.
I think some people might even think like I'm atheist because I don't see religion in that dichotomy that way at all.
Right.
And there are atheists I really do connect to.
Yeah, and there's like I said, I like the word agnostic better.
Yeah.
Because my dad was an agnostic, and he would always say, "I'll believe you if you show me."
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a way more open.
Yeah, I think I've been hanging out with Jessa and Lola too long because I'm like, this whole agnostic or atheist thing, I'm like, wait, are you a galactic bird or are you a reptile? I'm a witch. Oh, you're an alien? Oh, you're an angel. So I'm like...
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I did a reading with a girl and I was like, God, I'm getting... I want to say too, we talked a lot about cupping, but there's so much you can do without even pushing the physical out of you. You know what I mean?
You know what? That sounds like a perfect cliffhanger. They're going to be back after the commercial because we're all sitting here going, how do I do that? How do I do that? Because you're going away tomorrow and I'm not going to get my cupping session. So, all right, everybody, hang on. We'll be right back. Psychic medium and buddy of mine, Terry Huberman, is with me today. Terry, you've given me so many great readings and healings, and now you've got everything together in one package. Tell me about that.
I sure do. So this package has energy healings, readings, and coaching.
Coaching, that's the best. And people, they buy the package. You give them coaching once a week?
Yeah, so we meet online once a week, and in between, there's support as well.
And who would this be for?
This is really for folks who are in indecision, needing to get into their intuition because they're blocked or stuck. They need to move forward. And so we explore what the root causes of the problems are.
And helps them get out of their own way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Terrific. And what can they expect from this?
Sure. So moving from anxiousness to confidence, accessing their freedom, joy, and security, and really being in alignment with themselves so they have that clear direction, so they know, aha, this is what I need to do next to reach my goals.
So now there's something that's free so people can talk to you and see if this is for them.
Yeah, absolutely. On my website, terryhuberman.com, there is a page where you can click, and it's the intuitive coaching package. And there is a button there that says schedule a free call. So you go ahead, schedule it. We'll get on a call and you can learn more about this program, and we'll see if this is a good fit for you or not.
See if there's chemistry.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It's an odd date.
terryhuberman.com, TerrieHuberman. I highly recommend it, folks. We left you on a cliffhanger, so you were saying it's more than if you can't do cupping or...
Yeah. I hate the idea that we have to go buy a bunch of shit or go sign up with this guru for 2 weeks and wherever. Weeds, physical weeds outside are medicine. They're physical medicine and they're energetic medicine. A dandelions, the root, what we've been taught are nuisances. Clear your blood. When you clear your blood, you help heal your liver. When you're healing your liver, you heal repressed anger. Anger is stored in our liver. When you heal repressed anger, you boost your creativity in the world. And you can do all that with a weed that grows in an alley.
Now, how would you, because that's funny because the vet had courage on some dandelion, also as a diuretic.
Yeah.
And so how would you do that? Like, do you know how to do that? You can go pick a dandelion, we'd eat it?
Yeah.
You can
do that. If you have a yard and it hasn't been sprayed, you don't want to do something that's been sprayed with pesticides. But if it hasn't, you can pull them, you can steam them, you can eat them raw. Wow. You just Google what to do with dandelions. I have friends that cook with them.
See, and that's amazing that I even said, wow. Because that's literally what people did before grocery stores.
Right. And we've been strategically taught not to use weeds and to be afraid of medicine. The medicine that's most healing for our bodies and for our souls, we've been taught are weeds. What? Dandelions are so powerful.
Wow.
And I know a lot of people who I tell that to, they're like, no, that's scary. And they'd prefer going to buy it at a grocery store. And that's okay if that's where you're at right now and you're scared of your backyard.
Because the grocery store washed it or did something that, I don't know what we think they're doing. That's like, I had a butternut squash and I was like, do I have to cook it? And I was like, what? No, it's a vegetable. You don't have to cook it.
Yeah. Butternut squashes are so good.
What about, isn't a willow tree aspirin? Which tree is aspirin? There's one that if you take off the...
My brain just farted on me. But
I think it's one...
Willow been coming up in a lot of people's readings.
I think it's, maybe it's not willow.
Okay, so willow, like energetically, willow shows up as a lot of guides for people. And it's because it's seen like the weeping willow. So energetically, it seems really soft. And the branches are like thimble, right?
Right.
Easily breakable. But if you look at the roots of a willow, it spreads and interconnects and to get water to survive. And it's actually very strong at the root. But on the exterior, it seems very soft. So that's like a lot of what magic people who are kind of transferring from this daily life, work, grind into their magic are feeling. Like, I'm so like softer, like weeping. I'm weeping on the outside, but I have these magical roots. So then the willow comes in and you can like harness the energy of the willow to spread your roots to get your nutrients to be stronger.
Wow. And I'm not sure, people can Google it. I think it is the willow. Also, talk about healing. That's either where aspirin comes from, or if you pull off the bark, it tastes, and you suck on it, tastes like aspirin.
Totally. All of our magic is,
it's all connected.
Medicine is coming from this originally.
Wow. As above, so below.
Yeah.
There was another, and I can't remember what it was, but when we were kids, we had a root beer tree at my grandma's house, and obviously it wasn't a root beer tree, but underneath it tastes like root beer, like you take off the top, and I can't remember what that was.
I don't know, but pine shows up for a lot of people in readings right now.
And pine as in essential oil or as in eating?
Like the pine tree.
Uh-huh.
And you can do a lot with it. But so we said, like, well, what do I do if I can't cup? Like in my readings, I give out like a list of resources of things that are super cheap and next to you or in your backyard. And one thing that I'm getting a lot, especially for this masculine energy that's waking up right now, because I'm a nurturer. So I'm really about nurturing that masculine into their growth rather than like this fuck the masculine energy.
Right. Which we shouldn't do that. That's going on, but we shouldn't. That's not really what we mean.
Yeah. But some people with their experience maybe need that, to be like, fuck the masculine.
Right.
And some guys kind of like it. It's a complex thing. So no value judgment. Right. I'm just like, come here, suck my breast while I coddle you.
See, now that would be very dangerous to put on your business card.
Why I don't have a business card.
There you go. So
the pine. So pine helps like awaken the third eye, and you can use like the pine oil, essential oil in a diffuser, like when you're meditating. And when you're opening your third eye, it's really good to do physical modalities, yoga, that are heart openers. Oh, yeah. When you open your heart, you open your third eye. So if you're a visionary, if you feel like you see visions or you're trying to attract more visions into your life, pine is very essential to it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Rosemary is like my go-to for everything. I put it in my hair because it makes your hair not fall out. And I've had it's a bay leaf that I burnt.
Yeah.
How does rosemary fit in?
I see rosemary as like resource. Like it helps with the resources. So like when you're calling in other resources and spirits, like I feel like for you, you're very good at attracting your audience is what I feel from you. Like you get the kind of right people.
I would say that definitely about my tarot clients especially. I love my clients.
Yeah. And your fans, whatever you want to call them. They're vibrating.
All 5 of them.
They're vibrating the way you're vibrating. And I think rosemary helps us attract what we want, like the right resources. And it helps like bind and bring together.
Okay, my favorite, there's 2 that are my favorites, and I have trouble because I would have made them into perfumes if I could, and you can't. And the first one is cinnamon oil, and the other one is wintergreen.
Yeah.
Isn't cinnamon like, I always think that's the one they said was the most, attracts the opposite sex because it smells like candy or it smells like cake or there's something about it like comfort food?
It attracts the opposite sex if it's the right vibration for you. But cinnamon is also poison.
Yeah.
So it can be really healthy, but it can also be poison. So it depends on how it's like mixing energetically, right? So if you're like, oh, I want to be with this guy or this person, but like deep down your higher self is like, no, you don't. That's not right for you right now, Karen. Then it's going to be poison to that person. And it will repel them.
Interesting. So wintergreen?
Wintergreen is mint. And mint is like very balancing. Mint is like really good for stomach and digestion, but wintergreen is like awakening. It's just like enhancing. So it just kind of enhances, clears
whatever's going on. Mm-hmm. I'm a huge, I take these little peppermint beadlets all the time.
Yeah, I mean, Jessa said yesterday she was like, we did some cupping on Jessa and it was really intense. And me and Lola and Nikki we created a circle of like healing. And it's not like, when you're a healer, it's not like, we're healing Jessa right now. When you do healing on other people, they're healing you also. It's a co-creation that you're doing together. So even like my readings, it's like, okay, for the first 5 minutes, I'm just going to channel your body. After that, we're going to co-create fucking magic together and come up with like a list of resources. And then we're getting to work to build the new world. So that's what me, Lola, and Nikki, and Jessa were doing in the room yesterday. And we were just pulling stuff out of her body. And as we were pulling it out, we all started getting so nauseous. And it just took a few sprays of peppermint. And we were like, up, vibrant. Peppermint's so good for stomach.
That's and also I used to have a boyfriend who always smelled like garlic. And I would give it to him. It'd take the smell out of his entire body.
Yeah, I use garlic as protection.
I used to use garlic all the time, and then it was what I ate exactly before I got sick. So I'm backing off a little
Garlic fights. It is a fighter. It is very powerful. And you don't want to use it if you don't really need to fight.
Interesting.
And it will fight for you. So like yeast infections, stuff like that, because it will fight off. Yeast is a very powerful force, but you put garlic in it, it will fight it for you.
Wow.
So witches will like make mojo bags, like bags of protection with salt and garlic and different crystals if you really want to like fight off some spirits.
Wow.
Garlic fights off spirits for you.
Wow.
Yeast and parasites are spirits, energetic spirits that are invading you, and they will fight them.
Wow, that's interesting. And that yeast is like a spirit. Well, I guess everything is kind of, we're communicating with everything, right?
That's Lacey's version. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I think so. I hate saying things like they're fact because some of this stuff is just what I've always believed. And I think it's because I'm a witch and like...
Well, you're on the right podcast because that's what we want to hear, what you believe. That's why we're here listening to you. Yeah. Interesting.
So another one I really love is aloe vera.
See, now, all right, before you even start, I think... well, when you get into it, the plant or the gel, because I drink the juice... which is a weird taste. I have to put it in my smoothie. But,
so glad you drink the juice.
Right. It's for, I think it's not the one that's sweet that you drink. It's like the one that you put in. It tastes like you just went like this.
Yeah, I love the taste, but look at what I'm drinking right now.
I'm drinking the
it's green sludge. Yeah.
So tell us all about aloe vera.
Aloe vera... On the energetic level, so if you are a pasty white person like me and you go in the sun, like I'm going to have a sunburn after this. I know,
I'm covered in sunblock and it's like,
So what happens when we get a sunburn? I think a lot of us have been taught to use aloe vera on the skin, right? Because it neutralizes and it heals burns. So if you're a human, and especially women, as soon as I said that, my guides are like, don't be gender specific because men are hurting from this too.
Interesting. I thought you were going to say I thought your guides corrected you because you said if you're a human. And I was like, I don't know who else listens to my podcast.
My first reaction was fairies.
Yes, I know. There's a lot of fairies around me.
Okay, so aloe vera, if you feel burned in life, like you feel like people have been taking advantage of you or ripping you off and you have that like irritated feeling, like when you get a sunburn, it's irritation. It's irritation on the skin. So when people are physically irritating us, it happens in our body and it causes inflammation. So we can take aloe vera internally and it heals that burn. So it heals the feeling of being burnt in life.
Interesting. They, it's funny. One of the YouTube people I listened to, she was saying the illness of the year is inflammation.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's some agitation that's also being brought on astrologically. Well, our country is split, so we're agitated all the time.
Right.
But that's a very interesting. So you take that, and I didn't know you could drink it. And then also,
and the plant of it, if you have the physical plant and you don't want to drink it.
Right. That's where I got confused. They're doing something to it.
The plant itself, put it by your bed, because it literally gives out chemicals that help you sleep.
Oh, okay.
And it detoxifies the air.
It's the easiest grow.
It's so easy.
And then I saw somebody on YouTube cutting one open, and I wonder if this is. I have one in my house. I do very well with plants. In fact, I can't keep them. They get too big. They get bigger and bigger and bigger.
I love it.
Yeah, when people always like, I can't grow anything, I'm like, I can't stop these
Yeah.
things. And the aloe vera got so big, it was in this teacup. And I think people have that in their yard when it's like 5 feet tall, don't they? And it's actually like one of those plants where you could push somebody on it and it's so prickly you could hurt them.
Yeah, but you can just cut the leaf off and eat it.
Really?
Or rub it on your skin.
I was using it on my face for a while when I needed to heal something. All right, aloe vera. Okay, let's find another one because I'm finding this herbalism stuff fascinating.
Nettle is a huge, huge favorite of mine.
What is nettle?
They call it stinging nettle. And if you're outside, it will sting you. Like you'll get a rash on your skin. So it's like
a poison ivy?
No. Because poison ivy is meant to be an irritant for us. Poison ivy is meant to protect animals in the forest and the environment. Nettle is for us, but it stings us. So nettle in a very small way is like cupping, because what cupping's doing is it's pulling blood up in your skin and creating circulation and blood flow. When you get blood flow going, you're also releasing toxins. So nettle, you can pick it up and it will sting you and you'll feel like, oh no, because it has all these little like pricklies. But if, like for example, I wasn't getting my period, it was late, and so that means I have stagnation in my womb space, I have stagnation in my stomach, and you don't want your stomach to get cool or your womb to get cool. You always want it to be warm. So like women, if you ever feel like it's cool down there, take a hot pack or warm it with your hands. We don't want it to be cool. So I took the stinging nettle, rubbed it on the skin, and it caused this like rash that lasts for a little bit, but it brings all the blood flow, and then it's like healing and pushes out any of that stagnation or toxins. If you're like losing hair or like having receding hair, you can take the nettle and rub it on your scalp and hair will grow.
Is that like an oil or
literally the leaf? The leaf,
okay.
And then if you steam the leaf, you can drink nettle, or you can just go buy nettle leaves at the store, and they're adaptogens. So they're really good for stress level and the adrenals. Oh. And we all need more adaptogens right now. Part of the reason we're all getting so inflamed is that we're not having enough adaptogens in our life. Our adrenals are crazy.
All right. And so now I have we're right on time. I have one last very odd problem. So we had talked about my knee and my shoulder earlier because I feel like they're temporary. They're not real injuries. There's something else going on there. So my mother had this, and I have it. And it's called frozen triceps, where from the bottom, from my elbow to my shoulder, right back here, always cold. Like before I go to bed, I wrap a heating pad around it just to warm it up. Nothing hurts. It's always cold. They call it a frozen shoulder, actually, but it's actually a frozen tricep. Does that ring off any bells of a...
Okay, so... Again, not a medical intuitive, so I go to it really weirdly. And
right arm.
Right arm. Oh, perfect. That's what I was going to say. Right arm is right side of our body represents the masculine, right? And we all have masculine and feminine energy. Tricep energetically is like strength and being strong. And cooling is like, I'm cool around my womb because it's like a fear, but I know right away you're like, I'm not afraid of being strong. I'm strong. But it's
could be.
It's like a compensating for strength. Like I need to be strong. In a similar way of like, I need to grind. It's like, no, I need to be strong. I'm Karen. I'm here. I'm strong. And I'm assuming your mom was like that too and sort of needed to compensate in that way for survival, for everyone else being okay.
Yeah, that feels right. That feels right. So what would I put there? Nettle?
Yeah, you could definitely do nettle there and it will get heat going on. It's not fun. It's a rash.
Okay.
But it doesn't last that long, probably like 20, 30 minutes.
Oh, that's good.
But you can drink nettle. And nettle will help the circulation and heat throughout your body. Nettle is one of the most nutritionally dense teas.
We get it in tea. That's good.
Yeah, so when you boil it, this little stingers just naturally fall off.
Okay, so you want to boil it and strain it.
Yeah.
Okay. Does it taste good?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay.
I love nettle.
Wow. All right. That's my next.
And it helps balance your hormones too.
Wow. All right. We're all going to get some nettle.
And nettle's really good for lungs and grief. Lungs are connected to sadness and grief. So like if you're going through a breakup or a death in your life, nettle and hawthorn. Hawthorn is the berry of the heart.
Oh, great. Wow, Lacey, this is fantastic.
I'm like, can I tell you? I'm going to just blab about herbs.
I find this fascinating, and I think you do need to write a book. This is very needed and would really help a lot of people. So tell the good folks where they can find you.
They can find me at laceyfree.com. Is my website.
It's going to be up by the time this is up.
It's going to be up by the time it's up. On Instagram at LaceyIsFree. You can book a reading with me. We can talk about your own personal resources or herbs. I also use chakras and movement a lot to help get those blocks out, even over the phone.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Lacey.
Thank you, Karen. I'm so happy you're here.
I know.
In the sun. Denver was a blizzard. So.
Oh, God. Well, you're doing good. All right. Well, thanks, everybody, for listening. Listen, if you can leave me a 5-star rating or whatever happens wherever you listen, that would be great. I hope to see you on the road. Don't forget to sign up, subscribe for my email list. And also thanks to Mike at Uno Rising Media. And we'll see you all next week.